So good morning, everyone. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Public Education Commission. It is Wednesday, August 14th, and it is 9:09 a.m. I'm going to ask Commissioner Beck to please call roll.
Chair Gibson,
Here.
Vice Chair Carrillo. Here. Commissioner Ingham. Here. Commissioner Klatsisevich. Not here. Commissioner Brown. Not here. Commissioner Manus. Not here. Commissioner Manus. Commissioner Armijo. Not here. Commissioner Taylor. Here. Commissioner Burt.
Here.
Commissioner Manus. Not here. We have 7 here, 7 present.
So I guess I just need to double check and make sure Cindy has no problem hearing us, correct?
I'm having issues with Commissioner Beck. I think you're speaking too close to the mic, so you're a little garbled. So you and also Commissioner Carrillo or Vice Chair Carrillo if you could stay kind of a reasonable distance from your mics, I would hear very
I'll
well.
just tell you, I went to my ear, nose, and throat, and I had a polyp on my vocal cord for 1.5 years. And he said it is now just a scab, so I can sing again. So I apologize. I'm excited for my voice.
Oh,
Um,
I'm
we're
thrilled with your
excited.
voice. It's working very well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I apologize. There are 6 present and 4 not present.
He hasn't responded. Thank you. I'm going to ask everyone to please stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the New Mexico flag. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. So does anyone have I didn't open the folder with the mission. Did anyone open the folder for the mission and values? Thanks.
All right, the PEC vision, all students and families residing in New Mexico, regardless of background or circumstance, will experience equitable access to a diverse array of innovative, high-quality public schools where students will learn, thrive, and realize their full potential. The mission is to authorize and support public charter schools for innovative, equitable, choice-driven education where all New Mexico students learn and thrive. And our values include transparency, consistency, respect, student-centered excellence, and equity and inclusion.
Thank you. We're on to item number 2, which is the approval of the agenda. And we do have to move the consent agenda to today because it has the minutes in it. And we have to approve the minutes of our last meeting at our first meeting. So that's the only change I have for the agenda.
Commissioner Armijo.
I need a
I
motion.
move to approve the agenda, moving the consent agenda to the next item.
Second. There's a motion by Commissioner Beck and a second by Commissioner Carrillo.
Commissioner Armijo. Present.
Well, if KT's not listed as here, we can just do voice.
KT, are you there?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. We are now on to what is now item number 3, which is the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Burt, and a second by Commissioner Beck. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. We are now on to item number 4, which is discussion of possible action on new school applications. And our first applicant group today is, I want to make sure that I have the full name, Equip Academy of New Mexico. So welcome, everyone. And because of some traffic issues and some concerns about individuals perhaps not being able to be here for public comment, we're going to move around just a slight bit to give a little more time for folks to be able to be here. So actually, we already have tribal input first anyway. They want tribal input third? It is. The presentation. Gotcha. Not the, okay. So that potentially changes is those folks that are online signing up for public comment. We need to open that window differently because it's already been closed, but we should reopen it. And so time when you're going to be able to speak.
I would suggest that we just have all the public comment people that are on Zoom right now, just start with that like we normally would. And because they're there, they've probably been there since 8:45. And then those people that are driving up that are stuck in traffic, we'll see them come in. And we can, at the chair's discretion, take them when it's appropriate. And then open window, because
So are we starting with public comment and not,
We're just
do we have
doing those
tribal? Okay,
people that are online.
we have 5 speakers on, 5 people signed up for public comment online.
Sorry. I apologize. I have a little thing that I have to say. I forgot. We are now moving to our discussion of possible action on new school applications. I wanted to note a few things regarding the record we will consider for each school. The full documentation of the new school applications is posted to the PEC website under 2024 new applications page. For each school, the record of the application process that we will consider is 1, the application, which includes the executive summary, application, appendices, facilities, 910B5 budget, and 2, the peer review analysis, 3, the input hearing, transcript, and 4, the final PED recommendations. I wanted to note 2 other things. We have also uploaded into the PEC meeting folder the letters that went to each school with questions raised on their application. That will also be considered part of the record. And 2, the CSD lead and the list of peer reviewers is uploaded to the PEC Drive for commissioners to review. Folder 4, 2024 new application folder on our Google Drive. Next year, the chart of this information will be included in the documents listed above. Thanks.
Okay, so we have 5 speakers online. Please remember to spell your
Yeah,
first and last name. And you will have 2 minutes. You'll hear a chime when your time is up, and I will start timing you once you have spelled your name. So I'm promoting Deval Westfall.
Well, good morning, Commissioners, and I appreciate your time this morning. I am Deval Westfall. That's DVALWESTPHAL. I'm with the Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce, and I am also a West Side resident and a proud mother of a charter school graduate. And so I'd like to share on 2 fronts why Equip Academy is a win. From the chamber standpoint, businesses want great schools and great options for their employees, and we all know that New Mexico's school performance measures are not what they should be. It's essential to expand the offerings with high-performing charters like Equip, which are both more targeted and more nimble in delivering the education that our student bodies need. And from a parental standpoint, we won the lottery twice. I tell you, when our child got into an elementary charter, again when he got into a college prep mid-high school charter. Getting him to school every day for 12 years was a huge challenge. We had to drive from far northwest Albuquerque to the center of town for 5 years and then all the way to the pit for the next 7. And it's a sacrifice a whole lot of parents can't make. But we were able to, and it was so worth it. Our son graduated with 45 college credits, got his bachelor's at UNM in 3 years, his master's in a year, and at age 21, he is set up in a great new job with a wonderful future. And that's because he went to great charter schools where tutoring and support are the norm, where every child gets the tools that they need to succeed, and where failure is simply not an option. What the school landscape looks like is one of the first questions businesses ask when they consider New Mexico, and it's the question parents, new and native, ask as well. Every New Mexico child deserves the education that our son received, an education very similar to what Equip is going to offer. And finally, on Albuquerque's west side, please approve this charter and make a great education an option for more of our students. Thank you for your time this morning.
Impeccable sense of timing. Next, we have Zaheen Hook, I think.
Hi, my name is Zaheen Huq. It's spelled ZAHINHUQ. I'm the student data manager at Rosalind Yalo Charter School, located in the Bronx, New York. I had the pleasure of working with Ms. Herrera, where she displayed excellent leadership and dedication as the director of assessment for our school. She wore many hats, most notably
Stop for a second, please.
Sorry, Zaheen, can you please pause?
Yes.
I want to begin again when all of us, everyone sitting at this dais, can actually listen to public comment. I'm losing my. And also, because I just can't help myself, there are 6 of us here right now, which I know makes a quorum, which is great. 3 jobs we're elected for: approve charters, oversee policy, oversee districts, and budget. 3 jobs. And for me personally, I don't care if people are upset with me for saying this. I'm not upset that we don't have 10 people present today.
not the.
You know what? And I said, I don't care if people are mad at me. I just felt I had to get that to say it. It is what it is.
I don't know why at this moment in time, it doesn't fit anywhere in the agenda.
Okay, Zaheen, you can continue. You have the full 2 minutes.
Should I start again from the beginning?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll spell my name out again. My name is Zaheen Huq, ZAHINHUQ. I'm the student data manager at Rosalind Yalo Charter School, located in the Bronx, New York. I had the pleasure of working with Ms. Herrera, where she displayed excellent leadership and dedication as the director of assessment for our school. During her time here, she wore many hats, most notably in ensuring that special education students received the tailored support that they needed to thrive, especially in an urban environment like the Bronx. And not only did she provide assessment accommodations, she also took charge of our response to intervention team, where she meticulously crafted student groupings and schedules based off of data-driven insights, which I got to work with her firsthand. This targeted approach allowed for effective small group and one-to-one instruction, which Ms. Herrera closely monitored to ensure measurable growth. What truly sets her apart is her unwavering commitment to student success and her ability to foster a culture of excellence and inclusion. Her leadership extended beyond assessments, where she was key in building collaborative teams and creating an environment where every student, regardless of their challenges, had the opportunity to succeed. To this day, here at Rosalind Ayala, we still feel the lasting impacts of her work. Her vision and hands-on approach are exactly what Equip Academy of New Mexico needs. As the lead founder, she will bring the same level of dedication, innovation, and proven results that have already made a significant impact in the lives of many students here in the Bronx to New Mexico. I'm confident that under her leadership, Equip will become a beacon of opportunity and achievement for all students. So I implore you all to please approve this charter for New Mexico. Thank you so much.
Next we have Melissa Sanchez.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Melissa Sanchez, Melissa Sanchez, and I am President and CEO of the Albuquerque Westside Business Association, as well as a Westside resident. After attending a focus group, which was put on by Equip Academy, I was quite impressed by the community engagement and input received. Education is so important to our community's economic prosperity, and our businesses want to hire local talent. We can all agree that we want to keep our kids here in New Mexico. Due to the rapid growth in population on the west side, we are challenged with the lack of infrastructure, and we believe that Equip Academy will not only be a perfect addition to our community, but a necessity. Not all families on the west side have the means to commute across the river, and students on the west side deserve a quality education, which will benefit our residents and Albuquerque as a whole. I thank you for your time and urge your approval for Equip Academy of New Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have John Duncan. I can see that you've unmuted, Sean, but we can't hear you. Are you speaking? While Sean figures out his audio, we'll go to Sylvia Mazer. Just be warned, Sean, I still have you on allowed to speak, so if you.
Okay, I apologize. I think my audio is messed up for a moment.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and go with you, Sean, and then we'll go with you next, Sylvia. So Sylvia, you want to put your mute yourself.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Sean Duncan. My name is spelled S-E-A-N. Last name is D-U-N-C-A-N. It's a pleasure to talk this morning, members of the commission. I'm the co-founder and school leader at Thrive Community School here in Santa Fe. The reason why I wanted to speak today is because I've had the pleasure of getting to know Mercy over the last year and her team, including many members of her board, as well as the mission, vision, and programming that's being offered for Equip Academy. Throughout my time working with Mercy and her team and getting to know them, I was really impressed by just how much initiative was taken to learn about the process, the humility that was brought in learning new things throughout the charter application, and understanding all of the dynamics that go into running a high-performing charter school. And at this time, I really think that there's just a need for strong and tenacious leaders in our schools. And I think Mercy really fits that bill, along with the vision that she and her team have developed. And I know how rigorous this process is, having gone through it just a few years ago. And knowing that the questions that have been asked are hard ones and that the bar is high. I believe firmly that Mercy and her team are ready to deliver on the promises that exist within their charter in the community that Mercy grew up in, and is ready to give back to in a way that I think is going to be transformative. So I urge the commission to consider approving this charter. And I hope to look forward to working with Mercy and her team as a member of the charter school community in the future.
Thank you. And then finally, Sylvia.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry, that was me, Sylvia. I did the wrong, I was trying to mute Sean and I muted you. So I apologize.
Okay, is that better? Thank you very much for giving me this platform to speak. My name is Sylvia Maser, SYLVIA Maser. I am with Global Give a Book, a 501c3 nonprofit promoting youth literacy by giving award-winning books to children in need. I am here to support Equipped Academy of New Mexico. Building strong, enduring relationships with our partners is vital to Global Give a Book, as these collaborations are a cornerstone of our ability to reach and impact diverse communities effectively. We plan to contribute award-winning books to children to improve literacy rates and foster a love of reading among students, aligning with Equipped Academy's mission. Equipped Academy is important to the growth and enrichment of our children in New Mexico, especially the west side of Albuquerque. I have attended focus group meetings and have been exceptionally impressed. Again, I am extending my support and recommendation for the approval of Equipped Academy of New Mexico. Albuquerque needs a school that prepares students to live out their greatness and reach those full potentials. I am confident that Albuquerque families will benefit tremendously from Equipped Academy of New Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the people who are signed up on Zoom to make public comment.
So all the players have arrived, so we can just continue with public comment, the live public comment.
Okay, we have at least 9 people in the room, some of whom were signed up before they were able to come. So there's another sign-up sheet that's still going around. So if you feel like you're not prepared, and then I have the microphone up here. So if you'll please just come up here. And again, you need to spell your first and last name, and then I'll start the timer. And our first speaker is Rachel Sewards.
Good morning, Commission. My name is Rachel Sewards, R-A-C-H-A-E-L, like Michael, and S-E-W-A-R-D-S. Can you tell I'm thrilled to not be sitting there right now? But I am here as a founder and an executive director of Solari Collegiate Charter School, which is in Albuquerque. And I am here, I have great reverence, respect. This is like the Super Bowl for charter schools right now. And so really enjoy this process and felt moved to be here today to speak in support of Equip Academy. I wanted to talk about the 2 responsibilities that we have as charter schools, and that's to innovate public education, which we talk about a lot in our work, but the second part is to then share and replicate what we're doing. And I think that's something that we spend less time talking about as charter school leaders. And this is something that I think Equip Academy is really going to bring to the table, particularly under the leadership of Mercy Herrera. And so I just want to speak to my experience in meeting Equip Academy and Mercy specifically. We met about a year ago. She visited Solari Collegiate. We sat down, and we talked a lot about programmatic elements. I talked about process, what it looks like to go through that charter school application, what it looks like to build community. But what we also spend a lot of time talking about is program. What can we do to support one another? We're in the process of opening our elementary school. And so I had just as many questions for Mercy as I think she had for me about what it means to open a charter school in New Mexico. And so we discussed a lot of things. We talked about school politics, how to create program, how to manage budget. We talked about structured literacy at length because that is something that is new to me and I wanted to learn a lot from her. And I left our conversation just feeling like I had built a partner very quickly in the movement. But this can be very lonely work running a standalone charter school. This is somebody who I see personally as a partner in a school that is a partner. We get calls pretty frequently. We're in the far southwest quadrant of Albuquerque. We have folks looking for an elementary school option north of us, off of Unserved some area. North of Central is a really important location for charter schools that we've not been able to fulfill yet. And so I guess that's basically all I wanted to say is that I think in addition to all the great academic programming that I know you're going to hear from the other 9 folks about, that Mercy is somebody who's invested in the charter school movement in our state of New Mexico. She's an active participant already. We see her participating in all the events, and I'll stop talking now. Thanks. Bye.
This is the reporter. Please keep your lips away from the microphone. These are very sensitive microphones. If your mouth is too close to them, the speech is garbled. I'm missing a lot of speech due to that. Please.
Okay, and then I'm turning down the mic as well. So next in the room, we have Jane Henserling.
Can you hear me if I speak without the microphone, or is it better with the microphone?
She can't hear you without the microphone.
Just thought I'd check. Thank you. Check. Do you want the record to reflect?
Okay, oh, yeah.
Could the record please reflect that Commissioner Manus has joined us?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jane Henserling, Janehenz, like zebra, ERLING, and I work with Excellent Schools New Mexico. I'm also the founder of a K-8 charter school in San Francisco that we started in a community that had some of the lowest student achievement results in the entire state of California. More than 85% of our students were eligible for free or reduced lunch. More than 70% were English learners. And in our founding process, we actually had a school board member ask us why we were going to start a school in that community, because she said, quote, "Those kids will always be at the bottom." Well, she was wrong. Our school, serving this high-need population that few people believed in a community where expectations had been low for generations, performed in the top 10% of all schools in California, not just schools serving similar student populations, all schools in the state of California. I share this to say that I know what is possible for all kids. And I know how incredibly difficult and challenging this work is, but how essential it is. And now we have a responsibility to do it. That's why I believe in Mercy. That's why I believe in the Equip Academy team. That's why I believe in their school model. Not because of some blind faith, but because it is proven, it is based in evidence, it is based in what serves student needs. Every child in New Mexico deserves to attend a school that puts students at the center, where instructional decisions are strategic and data-driven and based in learning science. This is not a gamble that we can take with children. They deserve what is proven to work, what is proven to support their success and their opportunity. Like Mercy, I get emotional when I talk about the work that we've done, and I'm not going to apologize for that. This is emotional work. It takes passion and it takes brains. We have to have both of those things in order to be successful. And that's what this team brings. Thank you so much for your work and dedication to this process and your commitment to holding a high bar for charter schools in New Mexico.
There are tissues on the table. Next, we have William Rule.
Thank you, Chairman. council. My name is William Ruhlin, Willian, last name Ruhl. I am the present chairman and founder of Global Destiny Ministries. here
Please
in
adjust the
Albuquerque, New
microphone,
Mexico.
please.
5013C here in New Mexico. Is that good? Can you all hear?
Further away from
Further
the
away.
mic. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you. I've known Mercy for probably almost 25 years. She entered into our Southwest School of Ministry back in the early 2000s, transitioned there over to the University of New Mexico. I had the honor to write her letter of recommendation, entering into linguistics and diversity at that school. She received several honors from her time there. She then contacted me later on to write another letter of recommendation, which I was honored to do, for her time at Yale University. And when she came back into New Mexico, her family got in touch with me, and I was surprised she was back, but delighted that she was bringing her talents back home. I live on the west side of New Mexico, in the very area that is going to have this charter school, although I don't have any children of that age anymore. They're all in their 40s. I highly recommend the school to be set up in that area. I know many, many families that are having to travel across the city to meet the educational needs that they desire. I know many families that are coming together and teaching their children at home that would like to have this type of a facility available to them. So I highly recommend them. I know Mercy is steadfast in what she does. She has overcome all kinds of adversity and has always looked ahead, not behind. And so I highly recommend that you approve the Cook Academy here in New Mexico. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Isaiah Poultry.
Hello, good morning. My name is Isaiah Holtry. It's Isaiah, last name Holtry. And just wanted to say, my name is Isaiah Holtry, and I'm a mover. And what I love about Equip Academy is how the kids will visit college at such as a young age. Having kids think about the future early will get them more comfortable with the idea of college and what they want to become. I do not have any kids yet. I'm only 23, but when I do have kids, I'd like to send them to my auntie's school because she's a really smart and brilliant person, and she has good ideas. And yeah, just wanted to say that. Thank you.
That was perfect microphone placement.
You all have been told. Next, we have Julia Silva.
Good morning. My name is Julia Silva, Juliasilva. I'm a mother to two sons. I've lived in New Mexico my whole life. One of my sons had severe learning disability, and growing up, my son did not get the care or the attention to detail or the support that I didn't even know he needed. It wasn't spoken to me after or spoken to him. I feel like the school system neglected him and gave up on him because of his disability and not know how to deal with him. He couldn't hear or speak until he got older. And that was really hard and it affected him later. After attending one of Mercy's focus groups for Equip Academy, one thing that was so powerful is how they will communicate to the students. It is important. As a parent, I was never spoken to or informed about anything that made me feel like my son was getting a better education And I do see that this school will give the students not just the clarity, but the parents. And the more you make aware of a parent of what's going on, they'll have a better chance of teaching and learning and feeling whole. I didn't feel whole. My oldest son is 27, my youngest is 23, and I want a better chance for my granddaughter who's 7. So I ask that you approve, and it's just not a want, it's very much a need. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Spring Zamora.
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Spring Zamora. SPRING ZAMORA. I have 4 kids and I'm a stay-at-home mom. My goal in life were to make sure that my kids are safe and healthy and that they'll have the best education possible. I grew up in Albuquerque and didn't have the best education myself. This is not what I wanted for my kids. We made the decision as a family to move to Rio Rancho and pay more as it had better school ratings. If a school like Equip Academy was in Albuquerque, we would have lived there. I would have sent my kids there. I now have a grandbaby that will be 1 in September, and if the Equip Academy is approved, and it should be because our community is in desperate need of a school that centers reading, I will send my grandson there. Thank you, and I also believe in mercy.
Senator Maestas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Antonio Maestas, ANTONIO MAESTAS. Thank you for having me, Madam Chair, honorable members. Forgive me, I'm gonna have to rush off after I speak because we're having a committee hearing right now dealing with crime, which is kind of important these days. But I felt it was important to drive up here and make a few remarks. I have the honor of representing West Siders in the state legislature for the past 18 years, the last 2 as a state senator for District 26. And I think that this school, the application and the credentials and the vision and the leadership stand alone. But the fact that it's going to be on the West Side, I think is particularly wonderful for the following reasons. The West Side, just, you know, the way APS builds out takes decades to keep up with population growth. As you recall, Volcano Vista came online, and then Atrisco Heritage came online, you know, decades after they were needed, because West Mesa and Cibola were busting at the seams. Now, Volcano Vista and Atrisco Heritage are 2 of the biggest 4 schools in the state. The other 2 being Cleveland and Rio Rancho, which are in the vicinity. When the enrollment dipped due to COVID, APS canceled the plans of building a new high school by the football stadium on 98th Street. That land owned by APS is now for sale. So anyway, I think to have a school on the West Side will alleviate, not only help the kids who go to this school, but will alleviate kind of the overall educational infrastructure there on the West Side, maybe dropping school class size from 22 to 20 here on the margin. Granted, folks are going to be coming from all over the city, but I think a lot will be coming from the West Side. But just in closing, Madam Chair, I think that the leadership team that Ms. Herrera has put together, her vision, the fact that she could be anywhere in the country, but she's here with us here in New Mexico is tremendous. I look forward to this school getting off the ground next year, and I ask that you approve the school. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Haley Santisteban. Not here yet. Okay. How about Dominica?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Dominica Chavez, DOMINICA CHAVEZ, and I'm the Advocacy Manager at New Mexico Kids Can. We are proud to speak in support of Equip Academy of New Mexico. As our state grapples with an ongoing education crisis, we know that solutions exist, and access to a great school is one solution. Ms. Herrera and the founding board of directors have created a plan for a great school that will deliver exceptional results, advance educational equity, and eliminate disparities in student outcomes. We strongly believe in Equip Academy's potential to make a difference for students, families, and the greater Albuquerque community. Thank you.
That is everybody that is present. We have one person who has not arrived yet.
So I'm going to go back briefly to number one for tribal input and ask if there's anyone from a tribal entity that wishes to speak. Okay. We're now on to the applicants portion. So you've got 20 minutes.
Remember to introduce yourselves, please. Thank you. If someone is speaking, I cannot hear them.
No, no one's speaking yet. We're uploading their presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, the slideshow is up and ready. Timer is ready.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for this opportunity to give a second at-bat of our presentation to you today. And also just want to extend from all of us our deep gratitude for the work that you've done and the work that you do to ensure that any school approved is of high standard and high quality. And I know you all have done a tremendous amount of work, especially with 4 schools. This has been one of the hardest things I think that I've ever done, and rightfully so. It should be, and I would do it all again, because that's and my team feels the same way, because we believe in Equip Academy and what's possible, and more importantly, we believe in New Mexico children and what's possible.
Perhaps you could introduce everybody and have them spell their names.
Okay.
And then I'll start the timer.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we're gonna do it. All right. So my name is Mercy Herrera, Mercy Herrera. I'm the lead founder and proposed head of school of Equip Academy of New Mexico. And I've spent the past decade teaching and leading in some of the highest performing public charter schools in the country. And as a native New Mexican, I'm committed to bringing a high performing public charter option to our great state of New Mexico with the Fuller founding team.
Yeah. My name is Mary Jones, MaryJones. I'm a partner at a law firm in Albuquerque, a founding board member, and the proposed chair of the Oversight and Compliance Committee.
Hi, my name is Janet Leung, Janetleung. I bring over 13 years of finance and accounting experience as the proposed treasurer, finance committee lead, and academics committee member.
Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'm sorry, I was gonna say committee. I used to work for LFC. My name is Alejandra Grijalva, Alejandra Grijalvea, serving as the proposed board secretary, academic committee lead, and finance committee member. I'm an English language learner, a native New Mexican, a first generation college graduate, and the mother of a 2-year-old. And I'm very excited to bring contribute my knowledge from nearly 10 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, serving our underserved communities in Albuquerque. and experience in education policy and budgeting from the New Mexico Legislative Finance Committee.
Hi, my name is Renee Delgado Riley, ReneeDelgado-Riley. I have over 16 years of experience as an educational researcher. I specialize in student development theory, and I'm excited to serve as the proposed board chair, as well as support the academic committees and governance committees.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Sarah, S-A-R-A Fitzgerald, F-I-T-Z-G-E-R-A-L-D. I'm a public policy professional. I'm also our proposed vice chair. I bring years of state education policy as well as community engagement experience, and I'll contribute those to our audit and governance committees.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Rebecca Runyon, spelled ReBekahRunyan. I am the proposed business manager for the school. I have over 15 years working with schools in New Mexico in their finance, doing either auditing. I started out as an auditor for public schools, and then now I am a business manager for public schools.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Daniel Ivy Soto, D-A-N-I-E-L, last name Ivy Soto, I-V-E-I, V as in Victor, E-Y, dash capital S-O-T-O. I'm an attorney with Inaccord PC. I've been volunteering as the proposed general counsel to the Equip Academy of New Mexico. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, members of the Commission, thank you for having us this morning. I would like to begin our presentation and ground this proceeding in Equip Academy of New Mexico's vision and mission. At the outset, we fundamentally believe that every child has and deserves the opportunity to live out their greatness, their unique special gifts. And as a founding board, as a proposed charter school, our commitment to the students and to this community is to equip all children who attend Equip Academy of New Mexico with the skills and the knowledge to achieve their greatness. Our educational approach is joyful. We are high engaging, interested, participative members, and will foster the same in our school environment. We celebrate student curiosity and community through our literacy-based academic model. Again, our joyful, engaging, high expectation approach prioritizes measurable, evidence-based academic learning, celebrates student curiosity and community, and reimagines what a successful, literacy-rich K-5 school can be on the west side of Albuquerque. Our mission is to provide a top-tier, inquiry-based college preparatory education. And in doing this, Equip Academy of New Mexico will ensure that K-5 students master the knowledge and skills to dream audaciously, engage deeply, and pursue a life of purpose. Everyone here in front of you, we've all volunteered our time to do this. We are here and we joined this team because we believe in this mission and that our academic model can transform academic achievement on the west side of Albuquerque. I'd like to note that our mission strategically anchors the educational vision and goals in 5 key actualized ways. Next slide, please.
Thank you. So our model is designed to support all of our learners for the success of all students. And we'll do that in these 5 different ways. So first is our inquiry-based approach, which puts students at the center of learning. That's going to allow them to really engage in a meaningful conversation with their teachers and others to allow them to own that learning. Second is the comprehensive literacy and language acquisition program we'll have. That is designed to meet the needs of all of our students, making sure that they build strong, successful, and foundational reading skills that are going to serve them through the rest of their time in school. Third is our educator excellence. We want to support teachers to be highly effective in what they do, because that's going to have a strong impact on our students. And to do that, we'll make sure we have an emphasis on data and action planning to drive student learning. Fourth is our college preparatory culture. We're going to fuel college readiness through strong foundational skills and college exposure, because we know that many of the students that we plan to serve might not otherwise know that college is a possibility for them. And last is the rigorous curriculum that we've selected. It's nationally recognized, it's evidence-based, and it has content that is both representative and supportive of the diverse learners that we'll serve.
Okay. We share your commitment to ensuring that special education students receive the specialized services and supports that they need to be successful. We recognize that our submitted budget included special education services under contractor supports, and we have updated our financial models and plans to add at least 1 full-time equivalent credentialed special education teacher for years 1 through 3, and at least 2 for years 4 through 5. Every year, as we evaluate student progress and needs, we will adjust our staffing models and budget accordingly to ensure appropriate services. A cornerstone of our special education program is our student assistance team. This dedicated student assistance team is responsible for monitoring and tracking the progress of all of our special populations. The SAT will meet weekly to ensure that students are making progress and receiving the necessary supports and accommodations that they require. And this team will play a crucial role in identifying all of our student needs, developing individualized education plans, and ensuring their effective implementation. Additionally, we will be structured under a multi-layered system of supports, ensuring that our students are being served in their least restrictive environment following those IEP needs.
As part of our proposed board's responsibilities and internal controls, we must monitor finances through the Finance Committee on a monthly and annual basis. This is to ensure that we are prioritizing the school's mission to serve all student needs through appropriate resource allocation. This includes special education, ancillary services, and English language learners, but it's not limited to just that list. Next slide.
I'd like to just take some time to really focus on our literacy and rigorous curriculum selection. So Equip Academy's reading methods align with that of New Mexico's initiatives. And that's around science of reading and structured literacy. I'm going to dive into science of reading in the coming slides, but structured literacy is systematic and cumulative, which is what our program is. It's scaffolded and sequential, and it builds on one another. It's explicit. Even though we're an inquiry-based approach, we know, studies show that teaching students to learn is through a direct method. And so we will use a direct explicit method for teaching reading. It's diagnostic. It's a strong part of structured literacy. We have ongoing informal and formal assessments. And then there are multiple elements that are included within that as well. Next slide. So this is just a quick snapshot of our of our rigorous curriculum selection, first being that of Success for All, which we will delve into. The next one is Leveled Books, which is the top left illustration through the Hyman book selections. And basically, this is a level C. So our level B readers will be getting these C books to ensure that they're feeling successful and both challenged at the same time. We'll also be using Being a Reader and Being a Writer. through Collaborative Classroom, which is a supportive program that does align with the initiatives here in New Mexico. And then for math, we'll be using LEAP, which some of the highest performing charter schools here in Albuquerque in New Mexico use LEAP, which is Achievement First as well as some of the schools that I've worked at across the country. Next slide. This is a lot of text, but we're going to go into an actual lesson plan just to kind of ground us in what that looks like on a daily basis for students. So the science of reading and success for all alignment, that's what I'm gonna quickly go over. We know it's the 5 principles of phonological and phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Next slide. So this is Appendix M in our application. So you can see this lesson framework is the structure for a daily when supporting students K-2. So we start with hear the sound. That's the phonemic and phonological awareness piece. We move into stretch and read the new sound. That's the phonics piece. And then next slide. We have the shared story, which is an opportunity for the other 3 elements of Success for All. This is just a quick preview. Next slide. And then we have the vocabulary, right, which is a contributing factor that really supports students in their learning, especially AL students. So you can see here the vocabulary that is taught to students, as well as the definition, and then background words. So this is what's really supportive, especially for our AL students and students with special educational needs. So this is embedded in the lessons daily to support students that's aligned with this Science of Reading program. Next slide. And then there's the partner practice, right? So we've talked about phonological phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, and now we're looking at fluency. So this is where students get to independently read on their own, as well as do partner work where they give each other feedback, which is the cutest thing that you'll ever see around fluency. And then they'll have like challenging sentences and then a book as well. Next slide. And then again, we've done phonemic awareness and phonology, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and now we're focusing on comprehension. So this program is really supportive when it comes to, again, asking those inferential, factual, and critical thinking questions for students that are grounded in the text, supportive. That's been really supportive to help them gain that knowledge and background and understanding with the question and answer. Next slide. And I just want to look at data as a data-driven institution. Success for All has been around since 1978 or 87, excuse me. And you can see it's Success for All is the blue bars. And with the first slide, Success for All Baltimore, you can see that they have continually outperformed in terms of the control group. And then the chart on the right, you can't really see it, but it says students retained. The blue bar is Success for All. There's less retention with students using Success for All over the years in comparison to the control group. Thank you, Missy. And then on the other side, it's students in special education. So students are spending less time within special education with Success for All, because what we really want to get at is the skill deficit versus a cognitive disability or a disability, and students need an IEP to know exactly how we can support them. We want to eliminate that possibility of a skill deficit, and this program is really supportive with that. Next slide. And then we also want to talk about representation. Success for All is representative to the demographics that we're supporting here. So you can see one of their latest data pieces is 63% of students at Indian Oasis Elementary in Tucson passed the Ames reading assessment, and 70% are reading on grade level, which does coincide with one of our mission specific goals. It might seem lofty, it might seem unattainable for others, but we can see that it's possible with a strong, rigorous curriculum and a supportive structure for students and teachers. Next slide. And this is the data that we have utilized throughout our application, which really looks at and compares the data for elementary schools specifically. So what was in our response for the peer reviewers that a school isn't needed on the west side, or that there are other performing schools, higher performing schools. We can see here that when you look at just the elementary schools within that area, we're looking at special education or 5% proficient. That's 95% of students who are special education or walking away without knowing how to read. That's 3% not knowing to be on grade level for math. That's 97% of students. If you look at our AL population, 18% of students are only proficient in our targeted area after doing our percentages, right? And then looking at our Hispanic population, that's 26%. And so we know that more is possible. And with your approval today, we're excited to support in combating this.
So I'm an experienced data equity center data and assessment expert, and I've spent a lot of time working in education, helping people translate complex data into actionable results. My work really focuses on helping use data to improve programming, curriculum, policy, and really focusing on prioritizing that equitable outcome. So really, I help a lot of institutions, including my own, drive that meaningful change. And so part of that sharing impactful assessment data is fostering that informed decision-making, as well as I lead a lot of strategic planning, helping people stretch and grow to do this. And the reason I'm framing this is because I think all the data that we've collected through this entire process really points to a really good data story. And I think that data story is telling us something, and it would be really silly for us to ignore this. So I really firmly believe, as somebody who's been in education for so long and someone growing up on the Albuquerque West Side, where my mother sacrificed so much to send me to a private school. There were no charter schools when I was in that age group. But I really believe Equip Academy is not just another proposed charter school. It really represents the collective aspirations and demands of the Albuquerque West Side. The data here unequivocally shows that the community desires a school like Equip. As you can see from last month, we had 128 people show up for our community input hearing, with 31 people speaking passionately about the support, 14 people here driving up to Santa Fe, which we know is a long drive. But it's really a clear indication that the community is not only aware of our school, but they're deeply invested in its success. And in regards to our surveys, so I'm a huge quantitative researcher, but I'm also a qualitative researcher because there are humans behind the numbers, and it is so important to contextualize that experience, especially for our marginalized populations. But our survey alone, 97% of respondents, which is the most positively skewed I've ever seen in a survey, and I've done probably a million surveys in my time in this world, is they're demanding a high quality elementary school as extremely important on the Albuquerque West Side. And this overwhelming consensus really leaves us little room for interpretation. Our community is demanding this educational excellence. We also had 136 letters of support from families, businesses, organizations, community organizations. And these aren't just endorsements from the community, but they're really a demonstration of the widespread support for a school like Equip and the positive impact that it can have on the community. In regards to our focus groups and one-on-one meetings, the community consistently, 245 people, have consistently demanded high-quality educational options on the Albuquerque West Side. This feedback alone is a clear, urgent need that a school like Equip is needed. This is not just a case of our school trying to fit into a community, but it is the community calling for people like us to meet their educational expectations. And lastly, 107 organizations from businesses, community groups that we've fostered relationships with really have demonstrated that we already have a supportive network of people from our community. And this support really signals that Equip Academy has the potential to not just drive educational growth, but as well as long-term economic growth. Next slide, please. So as you can see from all this data, Equip Academy has demonstrated overwhelming support from multiple channels, from our focus groups to surveys to one-on-one meetings to our community input hearings. And it really makes it clear that this school could be essential for the community. So with that, because I'm a data nerd, I took the community input hearing transcript from our 31 speakers and did a thematic analysis to look at what are the community voices saying. And they fell into 4 areas of buckets that really fall into these 4 areas. And I was doing some coding myself as people were talking, and they kind of fit in these codes as well. But the first 2 are inclusive education and visionary leadership. I can give you a moment to read some of these quotes, but overall, our community is mentioning that not only Mercy and the team here have a lot of experience, but that we really are excited and visionary about doing innovative things in the educational realm, and we're really wanting to think about inclusive education. Next slide, please. And the second 2, so there's 4 buckets total, but the second 2 were around educational quality and access and community and economic input. So community voices are really insistent that we need to meet these high quality access so they don't have to drive across the river. I did much of that in my life as well. Next slide, please. So in sum, Equip Academy's foundation is really built on the community's expressed needs, aspirations, and demands. And chartering Equip is not just a response to the community's demands. I think it's a necessary step to fulfill their educational future. We want to thank you for your commitment. We want to thank the community. We're so grateful. And we also want to sincerely thank you all for dedicating your time to this. I understand volunteer positions. And as public education commissioners in New Mexico, you play an important role in shaping our educational landscape and providing more school options for students. And so we really appreciate your commitment to supporting the future of New Mexico. We're just grateful for your support, talent, and time today. So thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Director.
Do you have?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome, Equip team and people who drove up from Albuquerque. Appreciated that you're coming to the PEC meeting. That's really meaningful. I want to go over a very quick timeline of the interactions between this school and what has happened to get them here today. So in January, the applicant submitted a notice of intent. It was received on time. This year, at the Public Education Commission's request, Ms. Brown and I sat down with all applicants and we gave the same message. Our message was, please respond as thoroughly as possible to each indicator, and there's no shame in postponing or reapplying next year. That has happened in the past. So then June 1 arrived. There was lots of training for the applicants. June 1 arrived. They submitted the application on time. It was complete. That application was reviewed by peer reviewers. Peer reviewers also interviewed the team. A preliminary analysis was sent to PEC and the applicants on June 28th. On July 8th, the response to the peer analysis was emailed to PEC. We received that from the school, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. On July 9th, we held the community input hearing at the Athletics Association in Albuquerque. On July 19th, the PEC sent letters to the school, and the final recommendation to PEC and the applicants was sent on August 2nd. When we first received the response to the peer analysis, it was quite extensive. Although the applicants stated that there were factual errors, they also provided additional information to extend upon the application that they submitted. We sent it back to them and then they returned it, cutting out some of the information, but what we're looking at is nearly 130 pages with some areas that really do expand upon what was in the application. They're called clarifications perhaps, but my understanding is there's no rewrite or no corrections made to what was submitted. There are strengths in the application. There is no doubt there's strengths in the applicant team, and there's a lot of community support for the school.
Despite that, the CSD has concluded that the original application as submitted is inadequate. 40 out of the 51 indicators were rated as either approaches or does not meet. CSD believes the peer review team did a thorough job of reviewing the application and held the school to a high rigor, as was expected of them and described in the evaluation rubric. The application had to be detailed without the need for further development, and plans needed to be reasonable and realistic. The second reason we're recommending and saying that the school may not be in the best interest of the community is because the application has done little to assess the educational options that could speak to the demand or the need for the school. Generally, we have heard from multiple entities who are in support of the school. However, the location of the school is questionable. When the applicants state that they will be west of the Rio Grande and south of Paseo, it's unclear how far south of Paseo. In one of the diagrams that was submitted to the public's PSFA, there was actually a map that went all the way into Corrales. I think that could have just been a diagram, but it's unclear exactly where the school will be. So when the Charter Schools Division did the final review, we looked at 30 different schools. We included charter schools, not just regular public schools. And you'll see at the end of that final recommendation, the designation scores and proficiencies. 11 were spotlight, 14 were traditional, only 6 had priority schools designations. Is there room for growth and proficiency? Absolutely. And New Mexico has invested time and money to train schools in the science of reading. We anticipate proficiencies for the elementary students to increase. The charter schools we visited over the past year that took those trainings are seeing the results. And although I am certain that Ms. Herrera would make a great teacher coach, I'm not certain that she would be coaching the teachers on the science of literacy. The structured literacy, the curriculum that is mentioned in the application and the description that we heard today is a balanced literacy approach. We have vetted this with the literacy folks at the PED. The level readings do not meet that criteria. Additionally, the application cites a poll where people are calling for more charter schools. And we know very little about who the pollsters contacted and what they know about charter schools, but the PEC and the CSD know plenty about charter schools and what it takes to be a high quality and successful charter school in New Mexico. It isn't easy. The application in Appendix J provides proficiency data of students from New York City. I worked in New York City with charter schools, and guess what? They get free facilities. They also get a lot more money per student. It's a vastly different population. And I know that Ms. Herrera is from Albuquerque, and she deserves tons of props for that. But that's not necessarily the reason to approve this charter school. New Mexico is under a lawsuit for inadequate services for students with special needs. I know the commission cares about equity and inclusion, ensuring that students' access is part of the PEC's value statements. The application did not meet criteria for instructional services and support for students with IEPs. I think this is really important and key to this application. In closing, I'd like to acknowledge that there were letters of support uploaded as part of the application. Appendix U had 134 letters. Several of them were based on a form letter with maybe one prospective parent. Most were from community supporters. Everyone agrees that there is a need for top-tier schools. Who wouldn't agree to that? But we won't know for years if the school would be a top tier. So we ask for detailed plans in the application to demonstrate capacity. And as stated previously, the school approaches, but it does not meet criteria overall, which is why we recommended they come back next year. And between now and then, do a deeper dive into the literacy program that they wish to implement and the location of the school and engaging prospective parents. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. We're going to take a quick break. Right, it takes 10 minutes. Yeah. So for commissioners, even though the responses were put into Google Drive, they are now being put into the meeting materials as well. So will be part of the responses that the applicant team has made to the community, to the capacity interview, which we've seen in our Google Drive, but they haven't been any part of public documents. So they will be part of our meeting materials now. Okay, so we're now on to questions, comments. Commissioner Beck.
Thank you, Chair. I will say that I have no questions since I asked them all before, but I do have some comments. This is the first time I've gone through this process and I know Commissioner Ingham is the same, because last year we didn't have anybody. So it's been a very interesting process, I think, for both Commissioner Ingham and myself. I will tell you I am in full support of EQUIP as a charter school. There wasn't any really good football or golf on this weekend, so I amused myself by rereading the 259-page application. And I think it's the most thorough application I could ever imagine. I can't imagine anything more thorough than that. I will tell you that every aspect that I see as a 13-year teacher was brought forward very thoughtfully as well. One of the things that really stood out to me, I don't know, was on page 230 something, was the slow build in how you're building your school. The 2025-2026 school year is only K through 1, 50 for kindergarten and 25 for first grade. It builds up to K through 5, I guess, in the 2029-2030 school year with 375, and then in the 2030-2031 school year, it goes to 450, which is again under your cap that you've talked about. I also see that you have done a really deep dive into the needs of special education students. That's very obvious, which I think is critical in this situation. I remember distinctly in the community input hearing when I asked you a specific question about what the lesson plan would be for first grade and fifth grade in terms of English language arts. And we had a little discussion about green chili. And it was obvious to me that you're very culturally responsive in terms of how you integrate our New Mexico culture into your everyday lesson plans. I think it's tremendous. I think I differ with the issue of community input. I've never seen community input like that. You had stakeholders from every aspect, from organizations, from businesses, on the education side. individuals, families. My daughter and her family live on the west side, right next to LBJ Middle School. And she and her neighbors are, I'm probably talking too loud here.
You're getting a little
Animated, yes. For good reason. They have a need for a good quality, elementary school on the west side. They all say that. I've been to a bunch of their neighborhood parties, and they talk about that. And I want to go to what Senator Maestas said about catching up with the growth on the west side. That growth is there, and we're just trying to catch up. A famous Wayne Gretzky quote is, "Go to where the puck is going, not where it is." And that's what we're looking at. I want to say that I also appreciate your aggressive expectations. I don't think they're out of bounds. We're the 50th in the country. You could look at all these proficiencies. These are proficiencies based on us being 50th in the country. Okay, the NAEP, we were scared to death at Sandia High School when that was coming in, because we knew, unfortunately, that we have challenges nationally. You guys are bucking that trend. And maybe that's because it's your experience in New York, you have a broader perspective of that. That's very possible. But I love the aggressiveness with which you've taken on your expectations. I'm just going to say that I love your passion. I love your tears. So I have no questions. I'm done, and I fully support EQUIP. Thank you.
Still trying to figure out if I know where you stand on this. Commissioner Burt.
I'll also, I don't really have questions, even though I do love to hear you talk about your school and about the proposed way in which this incredible board and head leader will move into the future. So I'm going to I think I'm going to kind of take Tim's way of going about business. I fully support this school. And I'm trying to pick my words wisely. It's not just the passion. I love, it's important to have it. Not just Ms. Herrera, but everybody. I mean, the expertise in this board is astounding. I mean, absolutely astounding. I don't know. I mean, it says a lot about Ms. Herrera to have these people come to want to be on this board, want to serve this school and partner with her. It says a lot about her because of the quality of the board members that you have found to come and start this school as well. I don't see this application. I don't know. I know there are parts that maybe there were a couple places where maybe there could have been a couple approaches. I do not expect perfection in a new application. Like, that's insane to have it to where it needs to be absolutely perfect. What's the point of the implementation year if you're already supposed to be perfect on your application? So I think the pieces where I saw that you're like, okay, well, maybe that does need to be done differently. Or, sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. Some laws you don't know until you find out, right? And so I have full confidence that this team in the implementation year will figure out exactly what needs to be done. And I have full confidence going into the first year that, I guess I think if you're perfect on the application, you're day 0 ready. I just expect you to be day 1 ready, right? So we have a year of implementation year, and I can't imagine this team not being one of the best day 1 ready schools. I don't see where that happens. And based off the application, the amount of not just passion, but data to support it. And honestly, one of the things that I think I'm most disappointed by in the recommendation is the lack of belief in our own students. I see this team believes in New Mexico kids, that they can do it, that they can score very high proficiency, but I didn't see that in the recommendation team. That, a lofty goal is to be proficient, to have high proficiency. It just was really disappointing to see that that was what was against the school, was that you had high expectations for the students. So very disappointing in that. I do believe in our students, and I'm glad that you're back home. I do also agree you could have gone anywhere. And I do not want a single other person that is considering opening up a charter school in New Mexico to see this process, to go through this application, to see this team and be like, why, if they can't get approved, why would I even try? Like, what's the point? It's astounding to me. This is a great application, an incredible school, and massive amounts of data to support it. The community outreach is the best I've seen ever. I mean, you have taken that this year that you've done your fellowship. I mean, it is obvious you have taken full advantage of it inside your own community, right? I mean, there are people that will go and have fellowships out of state, and they have to spend a lot of time out of state building what that looks like. You know, for you to do your fellowship here in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, with the community you're going to be serving, I mean, to me, it was a direct reflection of the readiness of this application, of this team, and of you, Ms. Herrera. So, I mean, the application also is, or the recommendation is extremely tone deaf to the needs of West Side, extremely tone deaf. Like there's no consideration for the reality of what's going on in West Side Albuquerque, based off of that recommendation. I was a far West Side resident for many years. My kids went to Antigua, so like one of the furthest west, like out in the Mesa, right? There's not a lot of options out there for elementary for far West Siders. And you know what's going up? More apartments, more houses, less stores, less schools, more houses. I mean, Albuquerque can only grow west, right? We can't grow north. You can't grow to the east. You got them. They can only grow west. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger out there. So all being said, I am baffled by, I actually want to apologize for whatever feelings this team had getting that recommendation. It's not appropriate. I mean, I know that the PEC is separate and we can make our own decision, but to get a denial recommendation is really shocking. And I'm really sorry for probably the way that made you feel over the last couple weeks. Because I do not think that is reflective of, I do not see that being reflective at all of our PEC values at all. That's all I'll say for now. But I thank you for coming here. Thank you for the work that you did. Thank you for the data. Thank you for it being so well written and so well structured. I think in the implementation year, you're going to do another year of learning and growing more than what you already are at. I'm fully supportive of this school. I have high expectations for you guys, but I don't even know if they're as high as you have for yourself. And that's what we need. We need schools going in, not learning how to do structured literacy, going in day one and implementing, like that's where you're already at. I imagine this school being a model for what the PED initiatives are with the science of reading and with early literacy. So thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for the work. It is very well seen. And I very much respect the work that's been done, and I'm looking forward to supporting this goal many years into the future.
Sure, Taylor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again for being here. The amount of work and resources that you guys have used to come up with the school and the plan and go through the application process is just remarkable. You know, I don't want to belabor the accolades, but ditto what both commissioners that have spoken so far have said to you. You know, I know that you guys, I do want to reiterate the fact that I love the idea that you have lofty goals and that you have expectations. And that's, as Commissioner Beck said, good grief. What it's about time. You know, it's about time that there's schools in New Mexico that set those lofty goals and reach to achieve them. So thank you for that. Thank you for your vision and your expectations. I know that you all know that, that upon approval, which I anticipate is going to happen, but upon approval, you know, you got a long road, you know, this next year is, you think you've done work so far, right? But with the team that you have, the talent that you guys have, I just don't anticipate any issue. And I guarantee that in 5 years, when you guys come up for renewal, it's gonna be one of those that we're gonna all be talking about how good y'all have done, how well y'all have done. So thank you.
Commissioner Carrillo.
Thank you very much for being here, and all of your board and all of your supporters. It means a great deal to us when people show up in person. I know sometimes people have to Zoom in over us, but when you're here, making a connection with us, it means a great deal. The people that spoke on your behalf, and I weigh their comments very heavily. I mean, the Deval Westfall with the Albuquerque Chamber, Melissa with the Albuquerque West Business Association, Sean Duncan with Thrive. I mean, this is a school that knocked it out of the park with the minute they opened the doors, and they're continuing to do that. And what would today be if I didn't take a dig at the district? And of course, the district didn't want the school. So, and, you know, and to have Rachel, it's just so nice to see you, Rachel. So, and Jane, just people with a lot of experience in the private sector, in business, and in charter schools, speaking on your behalf. Mercy, you were clearly admired for your work, your dedication, your knowledge. And so when you were doing the piece a few minutes ago about with the lesson plan, that was the coolest thing ever. I mean, I really don't remember how I learned phonics and how I learned all my sight words and everything way back when. It's a long time ago, not that long. But it's when you were going over that, it was just so fascinating, the science of reading piece, right? And getting our kids and their little brains to be able to grasp the concepts. And I love the idea of what you were talking about in terms of they demonstrate what they know immediately. I said, you know, and I was like, how did he lose the fish or whatever it was, the ball? I don't know, whatever it was in the slide. You know, making sure that the comprehension is there. Because for me, actually, I was one of those people that I could read really well aloud. Call on me, you know? But was I comprehending what I was reading? No. And to this day, it's slow for me. I have to read things twice. And yeah, so it's hard. So I appreciate that very, very much. The straight away, let's see. I have a question. Accolades will come later. You know, parent development, because it seems like so much of what you're doing, because this is so based in literacy, right? Do you have and this isn't a gotcha thing at all, a plan for parent development to be partners in the reading? We have PDA for, you know, teachers, right? But what about parents?
Yes, there's multiple opportunities for parents to come in and take workshops for literacy. So we're going to do an LOL night, which means love of literacy. And we're going to talk about what it looks like at Equip Academy throughout our structured literacy program and support them in how they're going to navigate students at home. So for example, one of our pieces is going to be students practicing taking and bringing back their book baggies, which is a crucial element to both at home and in school support. So we're going to send them empty and we're going to practice that, right? That's an opportunity for parents to get involved and know why. And we're going to send a little note. It's a clear bag so that there's a note, they can see it, and then the kids practice reading, right? And so that's one piece that we really support them. But also for math, we're going to have math night because our cognitive guided instruction piece is really difficult. It's really different. Yeah. Parents would come in and say, I don't know what this is because we'll send work home. I don't know how to help them. Well, we're going to have a gallery walk where parents come in and observe the students doing a live number stories. So that way families know what it looks like and have it videotaped and uploaded and sent to students who can't make, or parents who can't make it because they work. So there's lots of opportunity. I think I think just, and then there's also just the joy factor, right? Which was again, another piece that came back from the community input, which is like, I went to a school where we never did anything fun. And so we have lots of fun opportunities for parents to come, and enjoy our community days. So there'll be grade level days and there'll be school-wide level days where students get to, whether it's a little class cheer that they are doing specifically or a Sightward award ceremony. We also have our published parties where families can come in and see the process of writing of their students, with their first draft to their final draft looks like. And that could be, again, a gallery walk where they go and look at the process that took place, or they can come and sit and be an audience member as their students read aloud as a part of the authorship published piece, which is reading your book out loud to those and this is starting at kindergarten. So there's lots of ample opportunity for parents to get involved. I feel that parent involvement is crucial to student success, to the most that they are willing and able to contribute. So yes.
That's fantastic. I mean, if it's like, I could grin bear, I would. No, it's fantastic. And, because all of us remember having spaghetti dinners at school or whatever, but nothing, it didn't accomplish anything, right? And there was no ask of parents or kids or anything. Oh, okay. So I'm excited to hear about all of this, the ways engaging parents and kids, and excited to hear about the kid in kinder reading from his book. That's just huge. So thank you for that. So there's a number of comments here that I'm concerned about. Need. I've always felt, and when I have to fill out these questionnaires when we run for office, which is just so tedious, there's like, what are your answers to this and this, and why do you think you want more charters when the district is opposed, and all of that? It's just like, the market determines the need. Okay, we don't determine the need. Okay, and if the need is determined in this case by wanting schools that are performing better than Albuquerque Public or Santa Fe or Alamogordo or wherever, because just as Tim stated, and I would echo this emphatically, when you compare yourselves and you're number 50, and you're putting and even your spotlight or whatever, they're really not that good. I mean, I've got all the scores right here in front of me relative to like other places in the country. What does that say about us? That we just accept the lowest common denominator or the mean. And I love that you're striving for more, and all of you are passionate about that. So I believe there is the need, because I believe there is a need for a school that focuses on literacy, that has kids go around to colleges or go to UNM and say, well, and you're looking at all the other people on campus and they're so big and they're so tall, and you're looking at them with just really wide eyes and admiration and kind of hope for your own future, right? This is where I get to be. And I remember, do you guys remember JB, who used to play basketball for Santa Fe High Demons? He was unfortunately killed, but he was like 6'6".
JB White.
JB White.
Yeah.
But he's one of the best. He would have gone into the NBA. But I remember when he'd go into the elementary schools, they would line up and he'd high five everybody because he's JB. And this is, I can do this someday. And that's how I feel with the way you're approaching literacy and the thing with colleges. I really appreciate Becca's comment is when an application, I believe, is done this well, if we somehow not approve it, clearly I'm going in that direction, right? Not approve it, what does that say to anybody else that desires to do something different, open a charter and desires to make a difference? So, obviously I'm emphatically supporting the school. What concerns me here in the comments, and not just this, but over the years that I've been on this commission, the peer reviewers, I've never seen so much red and does not meet, where it just didn't make sense. Like maybe, did they have a bad day? What were they thinking when they read these apps? It's almost as though they took out personal biases or something on the schools. And I say that only maybe it's something that we review later. We peer review the peer reviewers, because something seemed to miss this year with their commentary. And like they were just missing the mark all the way around. And really, I'm very concerned about the part where we're saying that, your reading content is not aligned with New Mexico standards and literacy frameworks and things like that. Well, then maybe it's New Mexico that needs to get realigned. Okay, because when you look at our literacy rates and our success with ELAs and special ed statewide, clearly we're doing something wrong. And we need to learn from others throughout the country that are having success. And I think that's something that also holds us back as a state, this provincialism that we have all the answers. You know, no, let's look outside of ourselves for people that are knocking it out of the park. Okay, and I think that's super important. The lease thing, I'm always troubled by this because no one, if I was a landlord, I'm not going to sign a lease with anybody until I know that they're going to have a business. And even when I was opening a private business here in Santa Fe, it was very hard sometimes to even make pitches to venture capitalists to get money because I didn't have a lease, but I can't have a lease until I have this. So, and I know that that's also what the implementation year is for. That year is, just as Becca said, you think it's hard now, or I can't remember which one of you said, you think it's hard now, working out all the kinks, that's what that year is for. And I'm confident you'll find the space that you need to do what you need to do. So I'm very excited about this school. And I learned about this concept, I think it was about 9 months ago even, and because I've been friends with Jane through an MSA. And so she told me what might be coming down the pike. And then it's down the pike, and I'm excited about it. And thank you very much for the depth of your presentation. This is collectively your presentation, your knowledge, your dedication to kids, and your dedication to New Mexico education.
Commissioner Ingham.
Okay, I've stated before, I feel like sometimes I'm the ignorant person in the room. And so during this process, I have to say, it's like, I couldn't figure out what was going on here. And I still don't think I understand how what I got from your presentations, how it was so disconnected with the review and how obviously the reviewers had a whole different expectation and very much in line. And so I tried to look at this and I just could not put it together. It's very refreshing to me because I was very anxious about this. And that the rest of the commission is seeing the same thing. I have to say this puts me in a very awkward position. I think there are does not meets on your, that would be important issues that you need to address. I mean, what does it say that our bar is so high that you can't get through? You actually have support and some financial support for schools that don't have that financial support. I thought our mandate was that they would be community schools that could make a proposal, that could bring it to us, that no, it can't be perfect, but that they could bring it to us and with, if you guys aren't able to pass that bar, my God, what is it going to take? And I just was shocked, honestly. And so I'm going to say I am very anxious about how to use the reviews that were passed on for the other schools. Because I can't now, I know from the reaction from everyone that this was a perfectly appropriate, was my opinion. I mean, actually, my opinion was somebody's inside here because they know everything right to say. And so, where's the disconnect? And now that disconnect is really scary to me for those other schools. And so, I want to say I also am emphatic support of your school. I live on the west side. I live south, but I honestly know that you guys are going to do a great job. And I sure hope we can foster new charter schools. I am all about the idea of new charter schools coming on board because I think the charter school movement is what's going to change education in New Mexico. And if we make it so hard that we can't do that, then we have lost that opportunity. And I will be really I'll spend the rest of my time on this commission fighting back on that. So thank you guys for your.
His hand hasn't been up, has it?
Yeah, there is a little hand. Well, maybe that.
No, well, I want to speak, so. Yes. So, thanks once again, because we are asking a lot. We know that, and I don't think we've set the bar too high. I don't. But, so I'm going to answer a little bit, or at least speak to a little bit of what you said. I look at this as kind of like a little game and a test for myself. I read through the application and I do notes on the application. Then when the capacity interview comes in, I look at it and see where I was as compared to them. And then I go back and say, well, they saw that. And it's like, no, I didn't see that. So to me, that's what we have to do. We have to look at and not just rely on other, I do go back and I relook and say, did I not see that? And sometimes it's like, yeah, I really didn't see it. And then other times it's like, no. And a lot of it is interpretation. It is. So it takes a lot. It takes 3 and 4 passes of this application to really dig in and see. I will say that if you want to look at, not diminishing your application, but if you want to look at Rachel's application, it rivals it in terms of its thoroughness because the passion is there. So I'm less concerned with the approaches because to me, the approaches are, they got it. Yeah, they got it. And that's what the implementation year is working on. You've got the base. I've seen capacity peer review reports that had way more red. I wasn't alarmed by the reds. I think we brought forward the concerns about the budget. It did not meet. The budget did not meet. And I fully agree with that. And we talked about that at the community input hearing. And it's a challenge. It is. But, the areas where there weren't enough does not meet to be alarming. And like I said, the approaches can be worked on. Would I preferred more greens? And maybe if I was part of that capacity team, there would have been more greens. That's where you look at it and you say, no, I really didn't see that, but I can see that something is there. I have less input on, I acknowledge that there's apparently a need on the west side. I live in a community that I think maybe we have 2 zip codes. So I'm not a zip code person. We don't identify by our zip code. I don't understand it. I'll never get it. So I leave that to the Albuquerque people to figure that all out and say, we're going to be there, fine. But I do hear, and I know Albuquerque enough to know that the west side is the only place where you can really grow. So I think it is important for the west side. I think it's really important. There's areas in New Mexico where there are charter deserts. So there's a disappointment in me that this isn't someplace else, only because I know the great need in so many other places. Doesn't take away from the need in, the west side of Albuquerque, but it's like, come on, can't we, we celebrate when there's applications other places, and it's like, and I know it's hard. So I'm a huge fan of, I started my teaching with inquiry-based, and it was a tough sell for a lot of the teachers that had been seasoned and, it's like, this is going to be hard. And I was, you know, a brand new teacher, so it was great. And inclusion. So I know how great it is for kids that have those learning challenges. So excited to hopefully see that roll out. I will say, Rudolfo Anaya wrote a book, How Green Chilies Came to New Mexico. And it was actually an acquaintance of mine, Nick Otero, who illustrated the book. It's just a little book, but it's a great little book. For little, you know, for little ones, not. And it's actually one of my coffee table books, you know, that we keep out. So, excuse me? Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's, at this point, the only thing I have to say.
I would add one thing.
Always.
It's the Columbo thing. I can't help myself, but it's based on what, so people remember Columbo. Did you?
Reruns.
There you go, on Antenna TV.
There you go.
Did you have that old broken down Peugeot that we drove? I don't know, it was being auctioned off for like some astronomical amount. Anyway, but what Stuart was saying, the charter landscape in New Mexico and charters changing education in New Mexico. And this is where I just really, I want districts to learn from charters to be able to do all of this work in districts. They can, they just have to have the will to do it. And I have high hopes that maybe one day they're going to say, oh, you know what? We can actually learn from these people. They're not threatening. Anyway, that's it.
Commissioner Burt.
I'm going to make a motion. I move that the Public Education Commission approve the application for Equip Academy for a 6-year term from 2025 to 2031, which includes a prior year or a planning year prior to opening. During the planning year and prior to commencing operations, Equip Academy must, number 1, negotiate a contract with the PEC. Number 2, obtain standing as an approved Board of Finance. Number 3, secure a facility that has e-occupancy. And number 4, complete the planning year checklist. Equip Academy is approved on the condition that the school is housed in a location on the west side of Albuquerque. Once the applicant has provided an e-occupancy showing that the school will be located on the west side of Albuquerque, the condition shall be deemed to be met, and the west side school location will be incorporated into your charter contract.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Burt and a second by Commissioner Taylor.
I can just real quick. I just want to make sure, I have full confidence that you want to be on the west side, but I do think, you know, just making sure, like, that's the community you reached out to, that's where you did it. So just kind of ensuring that that's gonna be the community you end up serving. That's the only, otherwise I wouldn't have put a condition at all.
Any additional? Roll, please.
Commissioner Ingram,
Absolutely and emphatically.
Commissioner Burt,
Yes.
Commissioner Manus,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Carrillo,
Yes.
Chair Gibson,
Yes.
Secretary Beck, yes. There are 7 votes for, 0 votes against. The motion passes.
Congratulations. Mr. Ivy Soto.
Madam Chair and members, if I could just comment on a couple of things that came up during the discussion, and I knew better than to say anything before you voted. But no, there was because there was some a fair amount of the commentary about the peer review and the feedback process and whatnot. And I just wanted to let you guys know from our perspective that we kind of saw the feedback in 3 different categories that came in. And given the first 2 categories, it would have been easy for us to have disregarded the third category, but we didn't. As you heard, we did over 100 pages of feedback. After we got all of this, we responded with a number of things, including the budget, right? So the third category then was where we saw things in the feedback that, oh yes, we can improve, and we need to read this, we need to take a look at that. But the other two categories that we did see, one was where there was feedback that we got that was just frankly flat out wrong. And just as an example of that, is that we had an entire part about FMLA compliance. And then we were told, no, FMLA doesn't apply to you. That's only if you have at least 50 employees. Well, actually, FMLA applies to private businesses with 50 or more employees, all public bodies, and specifically every single elementary and secondary school in the country, regardless of whether they're public or private, are covered by FMLA. And so whoever decided to put that we're not covered by FMLA in the feedback, that was just black letter law wrong. And so that was part of what we were having to sift through. There were also a few places where we just simply had disagreements, right? And some of that was for example, whether whether our literacy component comported with the state or not. We thought it did, and we thought that we enhanced beyond where it was. That was a disagreement. But then there are also things like, for example, in the staff, the policy that we had for people to be able to raise concerns about members of the staff. We had, so if you're raising a concern about any member of the staff, it goes to the head administrator. If you had a concern about the head administrator, though, it didn't make sense that you'd go to the head administrator. But we didn't want to burden we're trying to figure out, well, where would it go, right? We didn't want to burden necessarily the chair of the governing board, given where things may end up with a hearing or not, or what the nature of an investigation may end up being based on a complaint. So we said it would go to the general counsel. Well, in the feedback we were simply told that is inappropriate, but no basis for why it was inappropriate. I can't find any basis for why it's inappropriate. And so that just simply seems to be them substituting their judgment for our judgment. And so that's where and of course also remember we get to apply for waivers on some of these issues as well as we go through this process. But that's where in the feedback, although we did take very seriously where we could and provided over 100 pages of feedback and reconstructed certain things, the budget being the most tangible one, but a variety of other places where we massaged, because we did see there were other places where, frankly, it did seem like the feedback was trying to substitute their judgment for ours, or where on some things they just flat out just got the law wrong on some specific areas. And so we had to kind of work through some of that. And I just wanted to give that feedback back to you, even as we did provide whatever meaningful response back that we could.
Audio, question mark?